G'day legends and welcome back to the show. Well, here I am once again back in the old Haines. It's the story of my life at the moment, building this boat, but we are slowly starting to get there. As you can see, I've got the wave breaker glassed on. I didn't do that in the last video, we just made the wave breaker. But if you want to go back and see how we made that, just head back to the last episode in our Project Boat series and you'll find a video there named How to Build a Wave Breaker. So for this episode, guys, I am going to be building the dash. Now, previously I spoke about refurbishing the old dash and raising it. I've scrapped that idea purely because there's just too much work in trying to get the old dash raised about 100 mil. So what I'm going to do is copy this sea devil design and basically I'm going to build it out of thermalite. So what I've done is cut out a bulkhead, which is going to be our forward bulkhead, and I've used the old template idea with cardboard first and then just gluing the paddle pop sticks on the end with the hot glue gun, as I've done in previous videos. So if you want to check out how we make templates, just go back and have a look at those. Now, as you can see, I've come up 100 mil. And basically we're going to bridge this gap across here with more thermalite, glass it all in, and then we will drop a console panel or a console box for our screens on the driver's side, and on the port side there we'll probably put like a little pre-manufactured glove box, which I've seen, which are pretty tidy little things, some cup holders and things like that. So that's the plan. So what we've got to do is get the bulkhead and the top panel all cut out, and then we've got to get those laminated with glass either side, and then we'll basically put them in the boat, glass them in, and then go through the whole process of fairing and getting it ready for gel coat. I've got our dash cut out now, and I've got the little profile or template, whatever you want to call it, of the angle of what I'm going to run the dash at. Now, you're probably thinking, oh God, how are you going to get glass in there, and how are you going to even get in there to fair it and that? But the wave breaker is going to have windows, so we will cut those out later, and I've just marked roughly where the cutouts will be, and that will give us a little bit more access into that area for the fairing process. So the windows will be something we put on last, so I'm not too concerned about that at this stage. So there is some access there. Now you'll notice that I was using a red solo cup in the time lapse, and what I was using that for was to get the nice radiuses or these curves for the basically the door or the cutout, which will go through that bulkhead into the cabin. Now originally the 600Rs was sort of a small door center, and they had bulkhead either side, but what I've decided to do is copy what my old 17 was. If any of you have seen that in any of the videos, is where the majority of the port side is the entryway. Still a solid bulkhead up and around the gunnels and that, so it's going to get a lot of strength up through the dash and down each side. and down along the bottom. Very important to have that lip there. That lip is going to prevent things sliding out of the cabin or just catch in there, which is definitely something I hate with boats that don't have anything to stop stuff coming out of there while you're punching out. All your tackle, everything just slides out onto the deck. It's very frustrating. So that's a definite. And I've also, you've noticed, cut a bit of a funky cut down there. Now, the reasoning that isn't one piece is because it can't go in place in one piece. So it has to be parted somewhere. Now, the reason I've done this funky little cut up here is so it locks in place when we go to put it all back in and glass it together. It's a nice easy join to line up, and it lines up fairly well. And then obviously down through here, none of that's going to be in there until we get back down to here where we've got a little bit of a join. Alrighty, sorry guys, I lost where I was at there. I took a phone call and then I got a little bit busy. So obviously we've cut the templates out and we have our dash design all set up, and I'm actually gonna make a melamine mold for this section. So we'll mold that and then bang a solid glass piece in there so it's a nice and tidy place to flush mount our sounder. And I've cut out our bulkhead and it's looking pretty schmick. I do like the flat dash. We might yet put a little lip along here or something to stop stuff sliding off, but as I mentioned before, I'm going to have 1 or 2 glove boxes up here, some cup holders probably there, another cup holder there, and so you've got a lot of storage and that as well. We'll build side pocket storage as well down in either side of the console, passenger side and driver's side, just to give the boat some more rigidity, some strength up through the side of the hull there, but also some obviously for the storage. And then we'll have side pockets along the back there with gaff hooks and tag pole holders and things like that. That's the plan. Now, what I'm going to do now is smack together this melamine mold quickly. It's going to be relatively easy mold to make. If I cut out a sheet of melamine, perfect suited to this, which is, I think it's about 340 mil by 600 mil wide, and then cut another one perfect to the back side, basically screw those together, and then I'll just have to put end caps on and it's good to go. We'll lay it up. We'll probably make it 6 layers thick, nice and strong. And then in the meantime, what I'll do is pull this dash back out, the thermalite. We'll prep it and laminate it with one single layer ready to bond to the hull, and then we'll prep the hull on all the glass and that while that's out, so we've got plenty of room to work in there, and we'll make sure we can get a good bond back to the hull there. And yeah, we'll get this dash in. You will notice I didn't quite get the dash to go all the way up in there. Now the reason for that was because I had the offcuts of thermalite that I had weren't enough to get that width that I needed, but I didn't want to cut a whole new sheet just for this. Like, to me, it's not a huge issue having to put an extra join in there and a piece in there. That's going to be nothing, and it won't affect the structural integrity of that at all, so I'm not worried about that. And I'd rather save a whole sheet if I can. All right, let's make this melamine mold. Yeah. All right. Well, this afternoon I put a bit of wax in that. Lay probably three layers in there. 450 chop, 600 double bias, and 450 chop, and we'll let that set up, and then we'll add another probably 2 layers to that tomorrow, and we'll see how that's faring for thickness. In the meantime, once I lay 3 layers in this, I'm going to get stuck into this dash and getting it prepped for lamination. Well, it's a new day and we have laid up our dash mold. Now, I have given it at least 5 layers in there, plus all the overlap, so I'm pretty confident it's going to be strong enough. So I'll pull it out of the mold, but before I do that, I'm going to trim the edges while it's still in the mold, because it is, the mold is exactly to the shape we need. So if I just go around and trim those edges, use the mold as a guide, and then if we can't pop it out of the mold, we'll then unscrew the mold and pull the mold apart from the dash piece. Now, I did laminate last night the dash panels, and I've got them out in the sun just warming up right now, and then we'll flip them and laminate the other side, so we'll have somewhere to glass to on either side of those. Well, I'm really happy with how that come out, guys. It's got lovely curves. That plasticine worked a treat. They're all straight. Just a little bit of sanding to touch up some corners, and where we change from this radius down to a flat edge here, because that's where it recesses back inside the dash. I don't know if you can see that, but other than that, it's really solid and will hold our screens perfectly. Well, what I'm going to do now is grab my grinder, and I'm going to suit up, and I'm actually going to grind all of the old fiberglass that you can see. So all this green stuff down the sides, that is the old polyester resin from the original Haines factory. Now, because that glass is 40 years old and fully cured, we're putting a vinyl ester resin over the top, which has great laminating properties. Now, the key here is to key up the surface, pun not intended, key up the surface of the old polyester resin, or the old polyester fiberglass and resin there, and scar that surface so we can actually get a mechanical bond with our vinyl ester resin and glass over the top, so it actually bites in and has something to hold on to. Now, this is crucial because obviously you're only as good as your first layer. Now, what I'm going to do is rip around the boat with this is a 16 grit sanding pad, basically, for a grinder. Now, this, I'll show you in a sec what it does, but it really scars the surface up for a great mechanical bond. The chemical bond will still be there to some degree, but it's not as good as, say, a fresh layer of vinyl ester resin, laminating resin, so no wax contained in that, and then laying over the top a day later with maybe just a wipe of acetone to tack that surface back up. Now, you'll notice if you wipe the surface of this old fiberglass, there will be no tackiness to it because it's so cured. It's 40 years old, so we have to get a mechanical bond. Now, it is really crucial to understand the difference between mechanical and chemical bonds when you're doing restoration on these old boats, and there's not a lot of subjects out there or videos that I can find that really touch on it, and I will consider doing some educational videos towards the end of this build, but for the time being, I'm just going to touch on a few points like this and bring up things of what I learnt along the way as well, and what works and what doesn't for me. Remember, again, I'm not a shipwright, I'm just a backyard boat builder, so if you're doing anything like this, I encourage you to really consult a professional, and if not, pay a professional to do it yourself if you feel that you're not competent. But look how far I've got. guys, well as you can see, I'll just try and use this patch here as an example of where it was reasonably smooth. Now it was ground with 36 grit removal pad, but it was still smoothish. So by going it over in this with the 16 grit pad, you can see my fingers gripping, and it's actually scarred the surface of the glass. And it is rougher to the touch. It's not a smooth feel across the glass, and that's what the mechanical bond of our fiberglass going over the top will be. Now the intention is to put 3 layers up the entire side of each hole. That'll be 450 chop, 600 double bias and 450 chop. That seems to be my go-to layup for everything. But what you got to remember is there's going to be an overlap here. So there's already actually there's already 6 layers there. So when you come back down this way and come back to the floor, we're adding another 3 layers there. So that's 9 layers in the corners, which is a crucial point. Any 90-degree turn that fiberglass makes is where its strength is. It's not super strong in long flat sheets, but it is really strong around the corners, and putting those strength points all the way down the side of the boat is really going to help help the ride and just the structural integrity of this boat all round. All right, I'm gonna get my mask back on. It's dusty in here. Well, that sunlight has done these boards wonders. It's probably only been out here tops of an hour and a half, maybe tops, I reckon. And it's definitely set up, and you can really feel the warmth in it being black board. It's almost too hot to touch. So I'm going to laminate the other side of those now. Alrighty, well I'm back in the boat. I have let the laminated pieces of the dash cure. We've sanded all the edges of those. So we've got basically flat one sheet of glass either side, so 450 chop strand mat either side. Now I'm going to basically reconstruct the dash with the glass on there. What I've done is shot a line with the laser of where the front edge is going to be, so I can see that. And then what I'm going to do is position it in place, probably with a hot glue gun and some tabbing around the edges, or just some blocks to glue it off to. Get it in position, get it all set up, make sure it's all Mickey Mouse before we then start coving it in. Well guys, the dash is basically just sitting in place there. You can see the mounting panel that we made. The gaps here are going to be relatively easy to fill. We'll just put a chock on the other side and bog that off and make a nice cove down in there, and we'll shape that angle up nicely as well. I really like the angles, or these round edges that we did with the plasticine. They're nice and straight. They're pretty perfect. They just need a little bit of sanding to touch them up, but other than that, they're great. Our join here worked a treat. It's pretty solid. And then obviously glass is going to wrap underneath and over the top of that, so it's going to be relatively strong. Now, what I will do is I'm probably going to leave this as a nice sharp edge, and we'll flow coat. So we'll flow coat back to that edge, up here really. And what we'll do is we'll flow coat from there down, and here up will be a nice faired finish, nice and smooth. gel coat. Alright, now it's time to get this bad boy coved in and start some tabbing. Exciting. Alright, well, I have tabbed it in and glassed it in now. I didn't film any of the tabbing or the making the radiuses because I've been through that in previous videos, but it is a crucial process that needs to be done and can't be skipped for any of this sort of work. But the reasons for that is because the glass can't curve around a 90-degree bend. So you need a nice radius of some sort of bog or putty, and I just used Cabasil and resin to make this particular mix. Now, as you can see, I've got some wet glass there, and it starts drying as we get over there. Now the layup, originally the tabbing was done with one layer of 450 chop, and then I've gone over that with 3 more layers, so 450 chop, double bias and 450 chop. So it's going to be relatively locked in place. All right, that's enough for today. I'll be back tomorrow for more. Alright, well I have skipped ahead a little bit, guys, and I am sorry that I didn't film that, but essentially all I've done is glass the dash in. Now, I've only used chop strand mat on the top here, and we've filled in that little section at the front, we've glassed it all with 2 layers of tabbing with chop strand up around there. You can see the clear in the window there, the hollow sort of looking section. That's going to be where it's going to be cut out. Now you can see I've got a little bit of trimming, tidying up to do. I've glassed over this joint here on both sides. So this side's got 2 layers of chop strand mat. This side under here, I don't know if you can see that, it has chop strand mat, 400 chop strand mat, 600 double bias, and then the 450 chop again over the top of that. We've tabbed in down along our gunnel sides there. That's all solid. Tabbed in there as well. Again, solid. Up in the corners. And along the whole outside, which I explained before, we've got another 3 layers consisting of chop strand mat and double bias. So like, that is, it's just rock solid. And you can imagine the strength that's going to give just to the boat across there. Thwartships is the term. Just more rigidity and strength. So there's a lot of glass going into this thing, and it's starting to get just solider and solider. And even that dash, like it's just sounds hollow because of what's underneath it. But once that's all sorted and finished off in there, it's all just rock solid. So I'm really happy with where it's come. And on that note, I'm going to end this video here because, well, there's not a lot of fun stuff to do from here. So once again, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And please, if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you got any comments, questions, queries, drop it in the comments box. And if you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The notification bell will notify you when we post videos. Well, thanks very much, guys. I'll see you in the next one.